Welcome to AutoCAD 2D modeling. In this 2D model, you can see um, you have a kind of a bulb model. The shape is very much similar, looks like a bulb. Okay, but as I say, as I always mention, that you need to first analyze the model that where you need to you're supposed to take your center point, the reference point 0, comma 0, and how many shapes are required uh, to complete your model, to create the model, right? So begin with the AutoCAD first, and on drafting an annotation workbench, clear the units. Okay, after setting your units, go back to your model. And as I can see in this model, and in my previous lectures, I have already mentioned that try to keep your model as much as you can in your first quadrant, because in the first quadrant you have you you can have all the measurements in positive values. Like if you need coordinates for uh, other measurements, so they will be in positive x and positive y axis. So try to just keep them in first quadrant as much as you can. Rest, it is not that much difficult, so it's up completely up to you where you want to take the reference point. And once I say the reference point, it means the center point of your model, that is the coordinate 0, comma 0. Okay, let's begin with the model. In this model, I would prefer to take my center point right here. At this point, I will take my reference point, that is 0, comma 0, like this. And as I can see here, the radius for this circle, which is not that completed, but a trimmed circle, the radius has been provided, that is 27. Let's begin with this circle first. So in circle commands and options, center with radius. Now put 0, press tab and then 0 and enter. Now it will ask you for the radius, that is 27 in our case, and enter. Now the circle is here, which is a large enough. So you need to reduce the size. Just zoom out and that's it. Now keep it here like this. Next step is to these lines, but for the time being, just ignore these lines and come over here. Here you can see the radius is 5 given here, and it is showing you the direction that the circle is present. The part of the circle is here, whereas the rest of the circle has been trimmed. Same goes over here. The same part or same size circle is present here like this. So you need coordinate system now, right? Of course, you need coordinate system for the circle. So what will you do? You can see that there is also some hint provided. You can say right here that this whole distance, which is basically the center point for this circle, is 10 units downward from this radius center reference line. Okay, I need to mention first something that you can see this one and this one. These are two discontinuous lines. So once you have some discontinuous lines in your model, means these are the reference lines. These are being provided for your references only, and they are not the part of your actual model, right? So I feel there is no need to draw this reference line in our model actually, but this has been provided for this section to get the reference, right? So as you can see that this whole height for the rectangle is 20 units. So it means the half would be 10. Half would be 10. Okay. If this is 10, half is 10. So what does it mean? So you need center point for this circle and that one. And if you notice, there are two measurements provided in terms of, you can say, the diameter. But don't confuse diameter given over here only for the circles, because diameter is nothing but the distance between the reference point is, sorry, the circumference of the circle, or you can say the diameter is the length of a line that touches the circumference of a circle at 2 point while passing through the center of the circle. Agree? So diameter is what? It is the length of a line that touches the circumference on 2 points of the circumference of the circle, while it is a demand, it is needed that it should pass through the center of the circle. So that is your diameter. If any line passes, just touches the, you can say, the circumference on 2 point, but do not passes through the center of the circle, that line is known as chord. That length is no more diameter, but it is a chord. So the diameter given in this case is denoting basically a distance, because diameter is also a distance, radius is also a distance, a length of a line, right? So in case of radius, length is just from the circumference to the center point of the circle, whereas in case of diameter, it is the distance between the it is the length of the line or distance of the line from circumference to the circumference, while the line must passes through the center of the circle. So in this case here, we can see that there are no circles exactly for which the measurement should be given. These distances will be considered for some certain distance of any, in case of any hint, right? So what is these diameters is this one. You can see here there is a rectangle for which the measurement is 12 and 20. So ignore right now these two. Coming towards these two circles, the between the end point of these circles is altogether 32. Is altogether 32. Here I am going to introduce to you with a new command present in AutoCAD. So begin with that. Let's first draw this reference line. Just go for it. So you need a line that starts from center point, that is 0, comma 0. Press enter and keep your line towards here. One thing you can do, you can see the length. of the model is more than one coming over here. So it will be 110 plus 12. So 110 plus 12 will be 122. So you need to keep your line just larger than 122 or 122. So you can see as I am increasing the length, I have increased the length of the line. But keeping the um, angle of the line 0 by using the tab button. So press 0 and then enter. Then escape. As I mentioned, this is only the reference line. And in case of reference line, what I practice is to change the color of the line. It is for my very own practice so that I must remember that I need to erase the reference line in the end. So just highlight it with yellow color. It will remind you that this is not the part of the model. Afterwards, what is the next command I am going to introduce to you is the offset command. What does it mean? As you can see, this is the center line dividing the whole model into equal halves, like this, right? So, and this whole distance is 32. What does that mean? It means the distance from reference line till bottom would be 32 divided by 2, that would be 16, and upward also it would be 16, right? Because 16, 16, 32. So the new command is here, and that command is known as offset command. Offset command does what? It creates concentric circles, parallel lines, and parallel curves. So you can copy or make multiple copies using this offset command. Now, how it works? Let's see, just go for it. Ask you to specify offset distance. The offset distance is 16 upward and 16 downward. So just type in 16 here and enter. Now it asks you to select object offset. So just select the object and the cursor will right away go upward and downward to show you where you want your new line, the copied one. So just enter upward, click here. Again, it asks if there is further line to offset. So select the object to offset. We want to offset this one downward. Now just bring your cursor downward. So it will offset downward and then click enter. One more to go. It is select object and enter. Okay, perfect. Why we are doing this so? Because I need to mention the center point for this circle, which is not being provided here. Now you can see that you are coming 16 units downward. You are coming 16 units downward, whereas the radius provided is 5. And you can clearly see that. Let me draw this again. Okay. If I draw this line like a proper one, right? So you will notice that the circumference of the circle is just touching the this reference line, right? So it means the center point, wherever the center point is, the distance from that center point to this reference line is 5, right? Whereas altogether the distance was 16. So 5 minus 16 would be 11, right? So means need to come, you need to come minus 11 units downward to get the center point for this circle, right? Because these are your x's and this is your y-axis, negative y-axis. So it means the center point would be lie here on negative y-axis at the point of minus 11. In the same manner, what about the uh, x-axis point, right? X-axis would be what? From the radius of the circle, you will find the x-axis point because the radius would be 5 uh, from here, center point till here as well, and center point till here as well. So this distance would be 5. Whereas the whole length from this 0, the reference line, till this point is overall 110. So if you minus 5 units from 110, you will get the center point y coordinate, sorry, x coordinate or x axis point for this center of the circle. So this will be what? This will be 110 minus 5. That will be 105 on x axis, and you came minus 11 units downwards. So this will become minus 11. This will be the center of the circle for this one. And for this circle, upper circle, the same will repeat in x-axis. The x-axis will be 105, whereas y-axis, for y-axis, the case is exactly the same. You just need to travel upward. How much units? 11 units. So 105 on x-axis for both the centers, whereas plus 11 and minus 11 upward and downward because the reference point 0 comma 0, one circle is upward from that reference line and one circle is downward. So let's go for it, keeping this radius in mind, that is 5. Take these center points to draw these two circles, and you will notice that the circumference of these circles will ultimately touches the reference line. Okay, so 105 and 11. Now circle with radius. Center point is 105. Tab 11. Enter, and the radius is 5. Now you see that the circle is exactly touches the boundary. Here you can see how beautiful it is touching the boundary. Next is the downward circle on 105 and minus 11. 105 tab minus 11, and the radius is 5. So the next is what? Uh, you need to zoom out first, like this. Okay. Now you don't need these reference lines anymore. So you can just erase them. You can delete, select and delete. Next, we are left with this rectangle. Now, carefully observe the center point for this rectangle, right? Okay. What will be the first point for the rectangle? The first point I will take here. and I need coordinate points for this rectangle. As you can see that we always need x-axis and y-axis. On x-axis, how much distance I need to cover? I need to cover 110, 110 on y-axis to come on right hand side for this rectangle. Whereas for downward, the left bottom point of this rectangle is downward from our reference line. So how much downward it is present? It is present 10 units downward. So simply it would be minus 10. That's it. And for the next, you need the 12. How much distance you covered on x-axis? 12. And how much upward you will go is 20. So giving this coordinate point and these measurements, you will have your rectangle. So uh, go for it. 110, comma minus 10. Here is your rectangle command. Go for it. Now first corner point is 110, tab minus 10 and enter. Now you see it is touching the circle exactly right here at this point. So next is the length in x-axis. It is asking. That is what? That is 12. And on y-axis, it is 20. So the length is, okay, 12 and 20. Perfect. It is 12 tab 20. You see, this rectangle is exactly touching the boundary of the circles, right? In the next step, okay, zoom out it. In the next step, you need to make these arcs. Okay, now for this arc, you can notice only the radius is provided, that is 150, whereas you don't know and you cannot even find out where the center point for this circle or this arc lies actually. So if you remember from the previous lecture, I if you go to my previous lecture, you will notice that I have defined you, introduced you with a circle command of 10, 10, and 10. We will use another command of same kind here for this arc, these two arcs, right? So just keep this radius in your mind, that is 150. Now coming towards the arc, sorry, circle. Yes, in circle you have this option 10, 10 with radius. Just select it. It asks you to specify the point on object for first tangent of the circle. So you can, once you place your cursor on your first circle, you will find a defer tangent. So just click anywhere and specify point of object for second tangent of the circle. So just drag your cursor until you appeared with a green, um, I could say the cursor, a kind of a cursor. So just press click and now it will ask you for the radius and the radius is 150 and enter. So you see it has created one big circle. Of course, it's supposed to be a bit big circle because the radius is the biggest one in our whole model, right? So this is the scenario. And once you repeat the same for this circle using the same command, so specify the first object on the circle here, click, and for another circle, click here, and the radius 150. So you see how beautiful it has been created like this. But you don't need the whole part of the circle. So in previous lecture, we have learned how to use the trim command. So we will use the trim command here to trim off the excess part of the circles, right? So just zoom in here is your trim command. Just select, and once you place your cursor, it will just erase the excess part of the circle other than this one, because in trim command the objects are trim that has uh, first of all, it assumes that once there is any intersection between the objects, so it will divide that object into pieces. So as this circle, the biggest circle is touching the two circles, so it has divided this big circle into two parts. One is this one from both intersections, and another one is this one from again both intersections. So we need to trim off this biggest part and for this circle as well. So we are done. Perfect. As per the model, we don't need this part of the circle and these part of the circles as well. So just trim off this part, this one. Okay, I think there is some confusion. Okay, just undo this one first. I think we can repeat this once again. Zoom in, go for trim command, and it is not trimming this part of the circle. Why is this so? Um, I don't know if it is trimming this part and other parts. Okay, let's delete these two circles again and draw them again. Circle with 10 and radius. First tangent point, second tangent point, and 150. So continue with this trim line, trim option. Now, yes, it is trimming the line from here and like this. So you see, the model is completed. And one last thing we always need to do is to mention the dimensions. So let's mention them. For linear dimensions, come here on linear dimension and specify the extension lines. You need to increase the text size from manage dimension style, modify text height and keep it 5 or 7. Um, it's too much. So I guess 5 would be enough. Yes, 5. Um, not this, but 5. Okay, so it's 20. And we can also do certain things like modify and arrow size basically. So arrows here, first, second letter, arrow size. Yes, it's here. Just make it one, enter, close. So you see the arrow size has been increased. In the same way, just mention the diameter for the circle like this. If the radius is provided, just mention the radius. So whatever suits you, you can mention here. You see the radius is 5. The radius was provided for this one as well. So just mention the radius like this. And arrow size, we can also increase a little bit more arrow size. So manage dimension style, modify, and arrow size on 4 at least. And now close. So you see arrow size has been increased. So you can just play around it. For arc length, you can mention here like this. The length of the arc is here, whereas the radius for the arc is here. That was 150. And that's it for today's lecture. See you in the next lecture. Thank you.